Join me once again as we welcome QS Michael Ayemi. Thank you very much, sir.
My brother and the chairman of NIA Lagos chapter, Architect David Majekodumi. I think the former honorary, I don't know whether she's still the one. Still, okay. I'm sure I'm right now. Yes. Members of the National Executive Council of NIA here present. So my brother here, Architect Lan Ulishola, former secretary of the APBA. The other distinguished speakers, my brother, I used to forget that he's also an architect. Because when I ran into him, he was more as the MD of Family Home Funds, which is more of finance than talking about core architecture and design. Well, distinguished academics here present, Professor Kidele, Professor Lebe, unfortunately I don't know him, distinguished colleagues. It's actually an honor and a privilege to stand here before this distinguished and highly esteemed crowd to talk about the Lagos as an evolving organism. Last year I was here and it was quite interesting when Mr. Badijo Kusoya made his own presentation on your thoughts about Lagos. And what was interesting about that, because if you link that now with this evolution, there's something that strikes you right in the heart, and that's the fact that over the years, there are certain areas, because if you talk about broad streets, Lagos Central, the traffic, the noise, the congestion had always been there. But when you talk about places like Ikoyi, Victoria Island, Ikeja, GRA, they are not what we have now. So when you talk about an organism that is evolving, you want to believe it should evolve into something better than it was originally. But for Lagos, it seems as if the reverse is the case. Anybody who's going to live in Ikeja GRA now will not believe what Ikeja GRA was some 20-30 years ago. Same with Ikoyi. I recall in 1991, when I was in LandQuest, we were thinking about developing a 32-story structure on Martin Street, opposite the Bristol Hotel. Because then, the thought was that we were talking about the resurgence of this core Lagos, the commercial area of Lagos. Because then, most of the banks then were moving their offices to VI. And we thought they would come back if we were able to carry out that, but it never happened. And I think, for me, that is a major point, a sticky point for us as professionals in the built environment. What has been our contribution? And so, basically, my speech will be talking about that with the background of the recent building collapse in Banana Island. After the one of Gerard Road last year and the setting up of the panel by Lagos State government, we thought that would be the end. But sadly enough, that of Banana Island took place. And one interesting thing that struck me was the fact that a lot of people in their own reaction were like, Banana Island of all places? And I wonder, if not Banana Island, where else? Are the people there, are they different from those who live in Ebute Metta or Wajewule, where buildings collapse? No. What could have led to the collapse? And for me, something struck me, and it's like there's a pattern that is gradually evolving. And incidentally, I also linked that pattern to what Architect Femi Adewale talked about when he said, in most of the housing units, they were developed. there were no architectural footprint. And I was wondering, yeah, could you have had a building that was built without an architectural design? No. The pattern that is evolving is that we have a situation where property developers, because of not wanting to pay professional fees to experienced professionals, will engage young, inexperienced professionals. And for me, I think the earlier we, particularly the older ones, will start creating mentorship programs. And this applies to all the professions. So that the basic core principle we have to teach has to be ethics and code of conduct. You don't take on a job that you don't have both the technical ability to handle. The first core projects also led to that. A situation where a developer or a client would dictate to the professional who is supposed to advise him. For me, I think it's the gross height of unethical practice, and which unfortunately most of us, when I say most of us, the older ones, we have not been able, even though those are the things that we were taught when we entered the various professions. And having said that, that leads me to, why are things like this happening? Is it because the professions in the built environment are not united? Is it because there is no collaboration? In other parts of the world, even in the UK, where most of us copied training and practice from, you have construction industry council, you have construction industry development boards. And what are the functions of all these councils and boards? Basically, to craft policies that will guide and regulate the entire construction process. But do we have such here in Nigeria? Do we? And why don't we? Because for every panel that is set up, when each of us get there, rather than for us to look at our common problems, that is the fact that we are being stifled out of existence by either the developers or the clients. We are busy fighting one another over who should head the party, rather than what is our common problem. Is the government allowing Nigerian professionals to thrive through their policies? For me, I think this should have been what such bodies should take. Unfortunately, we have a body called the Council for Works. Council for Works is the one that designs policies for construction in Nigeria. Who are the members of the Council of Works? The Honorable Minister, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Works, the directors in the Federal Ministry of Works, commissioners for works in the states, Permanent Secretary for Works in the states, directors, and all the agencies, heads of agencies of that Federal Ministry of Works. But the actual practitioners, most of us sitting here, we are not part of it. The people who actually should feel the pinch, for instance, when the building in Banana collapsed just after the Ikoyi, for those who have friends or who attend international conferences and relate with people from outside this country, I'm sure you will have gotten calls that will be asking you, are you people really serious in Nigeria? Do you have serious practitioners in Nigeria? What is happening in Nigeria? And then that also leads me to another question in my head. Most of us complain that we have foreign incursions, foreigners, expatriates that are taking over our jobs. Why not? Nestle wants to build a factory in Nigeria. Do you think they will be comfortable engaging Nigerian professionals with what is happening? I don't think so. So we need to put our house in order. And the only way we can do that is by coming together, by collaborating. If we choose to go alone, I'm not sure we'll succeed. But if we can all come together, let's look at what others are doing. Let's see how we can get government to listen to us. In saying this, I know for a fact there's a body called Nigerian Economics Society Group, NESG. On an annual basis, they come together and discuss policies, economic policies that will aid the economy of this country. And government listens to them. You have Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. People by only private practitioners, private investors, not government employees. And government listens to them. Why can't we also do this? Get architects, quantity surveyors, town planners, structural engineers, construction companies, suppliers, manufacturers. Like I have once said in one of the sessions organized by family-owned funds and IFC, we're talking about creating employment, we're talking about affordable housing. How can we have affordable housing? If we can get government to sit down and say, look, how do you encourage local production of the materials rather than import? If you can encourage local production, one, we will have created employment for some people. Two, we will have reduced the demand on our foreign exchange by importers of these materials. And so whichever way you look at it is a win-win for the country. And if we are able to produce locally, of course, the price will come down. Right now, there's a global inflation. So any imported material that is coming in right now will be coming in with imported inflation. But if the material is produced here, local material, even though I know the major challenge we still have has to do with power. Because there is no way you can manufacture without power. And that still rests with the government. But like I said, if we all come together, we can put together a working document that we can take to government and sit government down and say, look, you need to take a look at this industry. Every now and then, they are going to the Minister for Works. We always say, construction is an economy expander. That for every site you set up, you have so many other dependables. One, you have the woman that will set up a catering outfit to service those boys that are working on the site. You have somebody who will sell bread to them and all of that. Okay, if you see that he has construction, is able to generate that multiplier effect, why are you not paying attention to the construction industry? And I think that's the question all of us here we need to sit down and look at. For the young ones, just like I have said, my advice is this: you need to look for the right mentors. You do not take on any job that is well above your technical capacity, so that we can begin to avoid, like I said, because if you look at what happened in the first core development and what happened in Banana, the two of them are the same. And when I listen to what everybody just said now, obviously there is a pattern that is evolving, which we have to nip in the bud for the protection of all of us. Like they always say, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Nobody is interested in knowing whether the person is experienced. What they know is that the project or the collapse structure was supervised by a professional, be it an architect or structural engineer. But if you don't take your time to learn the ropes, and you rather want to jump into the fray, the danger is what just happened. There is a technology that just came out that maybe not too many people are well versed in it, and then somebody took maybe a design from his office and they copied it, and lo and behold, they were caught up with what happened. So, coming to the issue of these youngsters and on the unity of those of us in the industry, there's an example I also use. If you take a bunch of broom and you try to break, it will not break. It will bend, but it won't break. But take one broomstick out of the bunch, it snaps, and that's it. And for me, that reinforces what I say about the unity. And on that unity also, I thought I would see more of the elders of the profession here, because there is something that has been worrying me. I think sometime last year when they had the reconciliation meeting in Abuja, I was part of that reconciliation meeting. Well, I delivered a goodwill message. And one thing I said, I feel sad that the architecture profession in Nigeria is not united. Because of that lack of unity, a lot of the young ones are suffering. I'm not proud to say this, but I will say something that really hurt me. Around the 2nd of February this year, while I was in Abuja, I was going to see somebody, and the Uber driver that I hailed, in the course of our conversation, I found out that the young man finished from Abia State University. But he could not be registered because of the problem, the impasse that you have at NACO. You can imagine a graduate of architecture in Nigeria driving Uber. I felt so bad with him. But this particular story, when I mentioned it to Mrs. Susman in Abuja, she also said, But I think it's about time the elders in the profession have to intervene. Dr. Female only said something, and for those of us that have been involved in, well, we have seen what happened in the last election. The young ones we have in Nigeria today, they believe in disrupting the system. They don't believe in following the normal paths. We, the older ones, we were taught to be patient. They don't have that patience. And it will be sad, and I mean it will be sad, that if another third force can come out from NIA to disrupt the entire process. So I want to use this medium to appeal to all the elders that are here. Please try and do something before it's too late. And I know why I'm saying this. In 2008, the Nigerian Support Service too had issues. But to the glory of God, one of you, Architect Tai Babalaki, was the person God used to solve our problems. And I would also want to appeal to all of you to find a way to reach out. Let each side keep their sword. For the benefit of these young ones who are coming, and for the benefit of the profession. And in particular, for the benefit of the construction industry. Because it's only when you have a united body that you can come to that collaborative forum I was talking about, and we can all talk with one voice to government about policies that the government needs to implement that will be to the benefit of all of us. On this note, I hope I've not taken too much of your time. I want to thank you for this opportunity you have given me to speak, and I wish all of you every time. God bless you.
A round of applause for our speaker once again. Thank you very much. Thank you for touching various points, especially the ones that hit us hard very much as a family of architecture today. And we sincerely hope that the impasse and the imbroglio can be brought to a halt and we make progress very, very soon. Without much ado, we recognize the presence of Architect Charles Majoro, past President, Nigerian Institute of Architects, past President, AUA, Architects